Gabe determined she was a glutton for punishment and was taking obsessive love to an all-new high, or in his opinion, a very disgusting low. "Yes, I've been trying to reach him for the past 2 days, ever since I found out about my condition," she finally answered as fresh tears appeared in her eyes. Gabe inhaled sharply, almost choking on the wine he'd just sipped. He cleared his throat and shifted uneasily in his chair, then inquired as calmly as he could. "Your condition?" Red, swollen, tear-soaked eyes met his gaze. She again put his handkerchief to use as she sobbingly replied, "I'm pregnant." The next day. Joella Blackwell looked at her son and said calmly, "The situation you described doesn't sound like a major crisis to me, Gabriel." Gabe shook his head in disbelief, clearly stunned. After a brief moment of recovery, he was almost certain he had misunderstood his mother's response. So he decided to tell her again. "I said the woman who you talked me into taking out last night announced over dinner that she's pregnant." And just in case his mother still didn't get it, he clarified by saying, "She's going to have a baby. And before you give me an all-accusing stare, just remember that last night was our first date, and under the circumstances it was definitely our last." Joella Blackwell raised a dark brow as she continued the task of setting the table for dinner. Christopher Chandler, Gabe's best friend and business partner, whom she considered her surrogate son, and his wife and their 10-month-old son would be coming, and she looked forward to seeing them. She was pleased that at least one of her sons had finally put aside his whoring ways to marry and start a family. "I know what being pregnant means, Gabriel. All I'm saying is that at least she was honest and upfront with you. So the way I see it, to decide you won't be seeing her again is acting rather hasty. I would think you could put the issue of her pregnancy behind you and move on." Gabe leaned in the doorway that separated the kitchen from the dining room, wondering if his mother actually thought such a thing was possible. But then, he knew she really did. Everyone who knew Joella Blackwell was well aware that she had a soft, loving, and forgiving heart. She was a good Christian woman who saw good in everyone and believed a positive spin could be derived from any negative situation. In this case, she was dead wrong. "You're expecting too much if you assume I'll consider asking her out again," he finally said. Joella Blackwell shrugged. "I see no reason why you shouldn't. Being pregnant is not the end of the world. Men date pregnant women all the time." Gabe frowned. "Yeah, and usually when they do, it's because they have a vested interest, like being the father of that child. Don't you see the problems that can develop if I become involved with Carrie Morton?" "No, I don't see the problems since she's made you aware of her condition. It's not as if she's trying to pass the child off as yours. I think you're being too judgmental. Your name may be Gabriel, but you're far from being an angel yourself." Gabe shook his head. "I happen to like children, no matter whose they are. But there's a lot more to it than the pregnancy issue." She's still hung up on her baby's father. "She actually told you that?" "She didn't have to. She talked about him enough over dinner for me to tell, and I refuse to get involved again with a woman carrying around excess emotional baggage. And trust me, Carrie Morton is up to her yin-yang in it. I'm not interested in dating a woman with issues." Joella Blackwell didn't say anything for the longest moment. She remembered how a few years back Gabe had fallen in love, a woman he had practically offered everything, his time, his money, and most important, his heart. The day before he was going to ask her to marry him, she broke off things between them to get back together with her old boyfriend, and had even had the gall to send Gabe an invitation to their wedding. Since that fateful time, he had refused to date women who he thought had personal problems they couldn't let go of. What she tried to get him to see was that everyone had some sort of issues. No one lived a completely carefree life. "There's no such thing as a perfect woman, Gabriel." Gabe met his mother's gaze. "I'm not looking for one, but any relationship I get seriously involved in again has to be uncomplicated and straightforward." Joella shook her head.